Big Three got started pretty much the day after Kobe scored 50 points during his last season. And Cube's point was, there should be another type of league where guys who can play still at the highest level can play.
So then it was all about, okay, there's a void in the market. Could we really bring this to reality? And the answer kept popping up, yes. A ton of work. Wasn't easy at all.
We literally spent about a year going through rules, going through ideas. And, we looked at a lot of tape, a lot of different 3-on-3 configurations, how people played it, how FIBA sort of plays it in the Olympics. And we realized, man, it's boring. We couldn't figure out why it was boring. And when we got into the rules, we figured it out.
There's been almost an unexpected time investment, a lot of opportunity cost on your end. Elaborate a little bit on that, if you don't mind.
When you think of the idea, you think, okay, as soon as we go in there, we're gonna sign the big TV contract. We're gonna sign the big merch contract. We're gonna get all these sponsors. But you really have to prove yourself.
Everybody kept saying, oh, the unwritten rule. I'm like, well, there's a lot of unwritten rules. Which one in particular? He said, oh, never get behind a new sports league. We're like, what? Who wrote that rule? And what we found is 99.9 out of 100 sports leagues don't make it.
We saw the XFL come and go. We saw the AAF come and go. And many leagues will come and go, and we just hope to still be standing at the end of the day.
The last one to make it is UFC. And they struggled for years and years. And, we're actually on a quicker path than they were. Hopefully we'll stay on the path and closer to where they are so we can go on forever.
We didn't expect this to be a cakewalk or everybody would do it. This is going to be, a boulder that we got to push uphill. But when we get over the crest, it's going to roll downhill full steam.
Everybody told us we were out of our minds. But Cube and I both come from a background where they've been telling us that our whole lives. But if we knew how impossible it was, I'm not sure we would have done it.
Welcome back, Josie Sports Nation fans. If you haven't already, definitely hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, and also hit that notification bell so you can see when my videos are coming out. And I really appreciate all the people who support the channel. You are loved. Now, I watched this interview and a lot of things stuck out to me in regards to this interview. Ice Cube, he came from a background, he came from a tough neighborhood. However, he had two parents and they were living pretty much the middle class lifestyle. He has this persona that is pretty much intimidating. And he really is not like that. He sold it to the public. But anyway, I'm a fan of Ice Cube. And there's nobody else better to do a league like this. Coming from NWA, where it was against the norm to do gangster rap, which I'm not a fan of gangster rap. I was in the past growing up, but I realized the destruction that it causes. And it ruined hip hop, but that's one thing. I can do a whole nother video about that. But let's talk about the business sense. Ice Cube always had the business sense to move forward where most people didn't have the vision. NWA, they signed this contract with Jimmy Heller and Ruthless Records, and he didn't want to sign it because he knew something was wrong. He got the contract sent to someone who understood contracts, and the other bandmates were pissed off at him, so he left. Then he was like one of the first ones who was acting because he took the advice from someone smarter than him, and it worked. Then they said, well, Why don't you create your own scripts? Create your own movies, which most people wasn't doing then. And when it comes to that, I don't understand why a lot more people don't start businesses in that industry. Start studios. Why did it take all these years to do that? Tyler Perry's very successful at it. But all these rich actors were just employees. But anyway, I like Ice Cube in regards to that. He's like, why don't we start it ourselves? And I was one of the guys who always look at entrepreneurship as something that everybody should do. But when you become an entrepreneur, it's very, very hard. There's 3 steps to entrepreneurship. Any type of business. It's the first step, you're ridiculed. You could be ridiculed by your friends, family, everybody. They're going to say, don't do it. Go back to the cow pasture, if you will. Go back to work with us and watch TV with us. Then you get violently opposed. The people you think is going to support you is not going to support you. You think people is going to be behind your vision. They don't even watch. They don't even support. But then you keep going, you keep going, you keep going, and you don't know if it's going to work. But then it becomes self-evident. I like that analogy that Ice Cube talked about you're pushing up a big boulder by yourself up this hill. And every so often you'll get people helping you push that rock over the hill. Then they stop, and then now you're going back down. You got to keep pushing. You got to keep pushing. It's hard. You're sweating. You're like, man, why am I doing this? And then eventually the rock goes down the hill and it's easy. And it just goes smooth sailing. It's on autopilot at this point. Now people want to join your venture. If we look at the history of sports, there's not a lot of success when it comes to sports leagues. And I did not know this. I was talking very ignorant and arrogant because I'm like, why is there all these NBA players, baseball players, football players who are African American? Why don't they start their own league? But you look back, there were black leagues that just didn't work. So it makes a lot of sense. Shout out to Ice Cube for being inspired by the late, great Kobe Bryant when he was done and he scored, 62 points in his last game. And he said, hey, there's more people like that can play, but they just don't want to play the full court game. And again, the biggest problems you solve, the more money you make. That's what someone told me years ago. If you want to make a lot of money, you solve big problems, which big problems comes with big stress. Everybody can't do that. That's why CEOs make so much money, because while you're just clocking in 9 to 5, they're working all hours of the day, trying not to get sued, trying to expand the business, worrying about their competition. So with that being said, tell me what you think about the video. If you like what you heard, definitely subscribe, hit that bell, and I'll see you on the next video.